Welcome back to the God Pill. Today's topic is Men Evolve for Women. It is an unsurprising reality that in the game of life throughout history, a larger ratio of women have successfully reproduced than men. The precise rate varies by culture, era, and circumstances. In some cases, it was as severe as one man passing on his genes for every 17 women. But the average rate compiled from the data is historically 80% of women have successfully reproduced and 40% of men. Because only males carry the Y chromosome, 100% of the adaptation of the Y chromosome is from men. Now going back to the ratio, 40% of men and 80% of women succeeded in replicating. That means that men's X chromosomes are 3 times as likely to not replicate in his lifetime as women's, meaning 3/4 of the X chromosome's adaptation is from men. This means that 75% of women's and 87.5% of men's evolution is exclusively from our male ancestors, meaning ultimately that men fiercely compete in the arena of nature and literally do the lion's share of evolving for women's own DNA. Women are genetic freeloaders, communists, really, brilliant in externalizing cost at many levels. But as good as the deal is, women are not content with this, which is perfectly natural. Women are hard-coded not to be content with anything anyway. And so as is their way, they attempt to maximize returns and minimize expense in the fields of protection, provision, and reproduction, meaning selective pressure existing at all is problematic for them. Think about it. Women want to ride the carousel for as long as possible, but they don't want to deal with the detriment this places on fertility. Hence, we have women freezing their eggs trying to dance around one of the very few constraints external reality places on them. Second, women are pushing body positivity. Why? Because literally all the top 80% of women in their fertile years have to do to receive adequate male attention is not to be severely overweight. But women's neotenous nature includes components like relativistic hedonism. Gluttony is a form of hedonism. Just as they try to bypass time's arrow with cryogenics, they seek to eliminate an entirely controllable variable of their own attractiveness. Not even their own health and well-being is enough motivation for many. They want to be accepted, provided for, and praised for existing. And I want that to really sink in for you, because that is what they want. Endless, conditionless security, resources, and praise for literally being present anywhere. They want to pressure you as much as possible to not discriminate based on their poor impulse control, motivation, and self-respect, and to increase the ratio of the unhealthy in the population through enabling ideology to reduce the number of women more attractive and to deprive you of more objectively appealing options. The third variable is behavior. I went into it at length in the previous video, but as Cato the Elder stated many centuries ago, women seek total license. They will push the envelope of socially and legally acceptable behavior for themselves as a class as far as they can, and so with each decade men will tolerate progressively more overt displays of antisocial behaviors, to put it pretty mildly. The feminine imperative, as Rollo phrases it, pursues this because harnessing science and exercising social engineering as a collective on the population achieves this effect of maximizing the success rate of reproduction for them at the minimum cost and the highest convenience. Ultimately, the only thing a woman can't control for is rare defects or freak accidents resulting in deformity or premature death or barrenness. Men, the simple reality is, if we just put a wee bit of pressure on a woman in our selectivity, epigenetic adaptations of the X chromosome would be much more uniform across the genders, and it would benefit future generations. The reason men have to struggle and contend with hypergamous dysfunction is a side effect of this extreme lack of adaptative pressure. As Arthur Arcturus puts it, their woman's operating system is still in the Paleolithic era and is engaging in regressive mate selection tied to those circumstances. According to Edward Duden and other researchers in the field of genetics, a major factor in the decline of Western civilization is an increase in mutational load. What is mutational load, you might ask? It's when a lot of mutations that are individually neutral or only slightly negative are not selected against and add up and up until the accumulation gains critical mass, where it negatively impacts a much larger portion of the genome than more negative individual mutations would. A lot of human genetic instructions affect the brain. We are surrounded by people suffering adverse mutations of the mind. Given how insulated women are from almost all selection pressures, the lion's share of mutational load would come from inherited X chromosomes from the maternal line, meaning the best thing humanity can do for the species in reducing genetic entropy is for men to filter out women with mental issues from the pool we would pursue. Whenever I observe in a forum or group chat, even Manosphere once or MGTOW once, anyone entertain the notion of either reducing men's burden performance, lowering evolutionary pressure, or raising the bar, however modestly, on what is expected of women, there will always be several men dismissing it. They can't conceive humanity doing all right genetically any other way than the most severe variants of current male tournament mating. And as gene-slave Darwinists, they don't care about what kind of world they live in outside of that, or at least that is the facade they manifest, because they find the notion unpalatable. It is disheartening to know even a number of red pill and black pill men endorse and approve of unfettered hypergamy. Going back to being selective with those with multiple X chromosomes, it's well known women always date at or above their perceived market value. Men, however, date, or at least settle with, at or below theirs. Most men have a straightforward bell curve when it comes to their assessment of fitness. They are very objective. And for a second, I want to defend the ladies on something. Women find 80% of men unattractive. Average to them are men above the bottom 80%, below the top 10%. Rather than voicing any displeasure men might have with that, any larger implications or dysfunction that results, I want you to think about it. Most men, regardless of their SMV, are fine with any woman in the top 50 to 60% of the population. This data suggests that women might be the same in relation to their perception. They just have a way less objective assessment of the population. To them, a 1 to 8 man is a 1 to 4.9, and an 8.1 to 10 man is a 5 to 10. File that away for reference in life going back on topic. There's a difference between how people see themselves and their SMV, though, and while women's egos are externally inflated like never before, most do suffer insecurity. If you're mentally sharp, it is certainly within your means to leave them a higher impression of your comparative SMV. Don't sell yourself and hence the quality of your offspring short, going for a woman substantially below you out of a sense of necessitousness, rather than affection of their mind, personality, or some other variable. Set your floor at 1 point below your SMV, not 2, and don't be afraid to go after those that are out of your league. Also understand that hypergamy is stronger or weaker based on different factors. For example, when it comes to height, while preference for a taller partner is universal in a woman, the scale of a difference favored whatever minimums they set varies depending on their own height. A 4'11 woman will usually want a man at least 5'5", a 6-inch difference, while with a 5'11 woman the norm is 6'1", a mere 2-inch difference. Height is only one variable of hypergamy, but it shows that each woman's circumstances makes for different levels of selectivity of traits. I'm not telling you to raise your standards in an ascetic sense in this video, but suggesting you think about everyone and everything in your environment, and determine what you want more of in the world, traits-wise. Evaluate, assess, and act accordingly. This mindset will help you, and it will make it easier for you to cultivate outcome independence, and be firm on whatever barriers of entry you set. You will be happier with the results. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, subscribe, donate, and comment. Until next time, as Robert Heinlein said, the two highest achievements of the human mind are the twin concepts of loyalty and duty. Whenever these twin concepts fall into disrepute, get out of there fast. You may possibly save yourself, but it is too late to save that society. It is doomed.